Welcome back to part 2 of an introduction to Hamas. Impact of Israeli policies. Israel's policies, including its control over Gaza's borders and its ongoing settlement activities in the West Bank, significantly contribute to the persistence of conflict. The blockade on Gaza limits the movement of goods and people, affecting the economic conditions and perpetuating a sense of siege among Palestinians. Israeli military actions in response to Hamas attacks further escalate tensions, often resulting in civilian casualties that inflame anti-Israel sentiments. Responses of neighboring countries. Countries like Egypt, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia play a role in the ongoing strife. For example, Egypt, sharing a border with Gaza, has at times kept its border crossing closed, adding to the isolation of the region. Meanwhile, Jordan hosts a large Palestinian refugee population and has its own set of relations with Israel, influencing its stance on the conflict. Saudi Arabia, on the other hand, holds significant sway in the Arab League and can influence regional policies, though it often acts cautiously due to its relationship with the United States. Regional and international dynamics. Beyond immediate neighbors, other actors like Iran, the United States, and the European Union also affect the conflict's duration. Iran's support for Hamas, both financially and through weapons supply, emboldens the group's actions against Israel. The United States, a close ally of Israel, often vetoes UN resolutions critical of Israeli actions, affecting the international community's ability to act uniformly on the issue. The European Union, while less partisan, offers aid to Palestinian territories and tries to act as a mediator, but its efforts often lack the force to bring about significant change. The quest for legitimacy. Hamas's decision to partake in Palestinian legislative elections marks a significant shift in its approach to governance and public image. Initially a militant organization, Hamas sought to gain ground as a legitimate political actor through the electoral process. In the 2006 Palestinian legislative elections, it won a surprise victory, claiming 74 out of 132 seats in the Palestinian Legislative Council. This win was largely attributed to disillusionment with the incumbent Fatah party, which was seen as corrupt and ineffective. By participating in elections, Hamas aimed to translate its grassroots support into official political power. This strategy not only allowed it to legitimately participate in shaping Palestinian policy but also extended its reach to international diplomatic platforms. Governing strategies and challenges. Upon securing its electoral win, Hamas was faced with the real-world challenges of governance. The party had to transition from a mainly oppositional force to a managerial one, responsible for everything from healthcare to security. One of its main strategies was to integrate its armed wing, the Qassam brigades, into the political framework, thereby consolidating its control over both militant and civil spheres. However, this led to friction with other Palestinian factions and presented difficulties in international diplomacy, as many countries consider Hamas a terrorist organization. Moreover, governance has been fraught with challenges due to the blockade imposed on Gaza by Israel and Egypt, severely limiting resources and economic development. Lack of international recognition further exacerbates the situation, making it difficult for Hamas to secure aid or engage in global politics in a meaningful way. International response to Hamas's rise to power. The international community's reaction to Hamas's electoral victory and subsequent governance has been largely negative, but with nuances. On one hand, countries like the United States and members of the European Union labeled Hamas as a terrorist organization, imposing sanctions and limiting diplomatic engagements. On the other hand, some countries and organizations have shown a willingness to engage with Hamas, viewing it as a legitimate representative of the Palestinian people. Notably, countries like Qatar and Turkey have provided financial and political support, considering it a viable partner in the Middle East political landscape. The international response has shaped how Hamas engages in both domestic and foreign policy. While sanctions have isolated it economically and diplomatically, alliances with supportive countries offer alternative routes for economic sustenance and diplomatic negotiations. This complex web of international reactions continues to influence how Hamas seeks to maintain and bolster its legitimacy, both within Palestine and beyond. Analyzing motivations and outcomes. Understanding the motivations and outcomes in the Israel-Palestine conflict requires a multifaceted analysis. The key actors, such as Hamas, Israel, and other involved parties, operate under complex motivations that lead them to choose specific courses of action, be it violence, diplomacy, or resistance. Assessing the outcomes of these actions further informs the dynamics at play in this enduring and contentious issue. Motivations behind Hamas actions. Ideological beliefs. At its core, Hamas has a distinct set of ideological principles derived from its interpretation of Islam. These principles often motivate actions geared towards achieving its vision for Palestine. Political leverage. Engaging in violent or diplomatic activities can serve to enhance Hamas influence both within the Palestinian territories and on the international stage. Public support. Popular opinion within Palestine can have a significant impact on the organization's strategy. Actions that are viewed favorably by the public can boost Hamas legitimacy. Response to Israeli policies. Israeli policies, such as settlement expansion and military interventions, often trigger reactive actions from Hamas. Motivations of other parties. Israeli security concerns. Israel frequently cites the need for security as a driving factor behind its military actions, border controls, and other policies affecting the Palestinian territories. International involvement. Other nations and international organizations have varying motivations, ranging from geopolitical interests to humanitarian concerns, which influence their involvement in the conflict. Outcomes and consequences. Cycle of violence. Violent actions often beget retaliation, creating a cycle that perpetuates the conflict. Political fragmentation. Diplomatic efforts or violent actions can result in political fragmentation within Palestinian territories, making unified governance challenging. International relations. Actions taken by Hamas or Israel have implications that ripple through their relationships with other countries, potentially leading to sanctions, loss of allies, or international condemnation. Humanitarian toll. Regardless of the motivations, the outcomes often include loss of life and property, as well as a detrimental impact on the quality of life for those residing in affected areas. Final remarks. The Israel-Palestine conflict is a multifaceted issue that has roots in religious, social, and political arenas. The emergence and subsequent evolution of Hamas have been a significant factor in the ongoing tensions. Originally founded as a branch of the Muslim Brotherhood, Hamas has grown into a key political and military entity in the Palestinian territories. Over the years, Hamas has been categorized as both a social welfare organization and a terrorist group, reflecting its dual role in Palestinian society. It has aimed to establish social programs and improve the quality of life for Palestinians while also engaging in acts of violence against Israeli targets. Hamas's political stance and governance in the Gaza Strip have both been points of contention and ongoing debate. Their rule has elicited various reactions, from those who view them as the rightful leaders of the Palestinian resistance to those who criticize their authoritarian tactics and lack of progress in peace negotiations. Throughout this discussion, the polarizing role of international involvement has also been examined. Countries around the world have different stances on the group, making international consensus elusive. This impacts not only diplomatic relations but also the feasibility of reaching a long-term resolution to the conflict.